Magnus Carlsen queens his pawn in this match, creating two queens on the board against Richard Rapport. Magnus plays with the white pieces and Richard with the black pieces here. So after the pawns are exchanged, this is the French defense on the board, the exchange variation of the French defense, and Magnus brings his knight out. Bishop comes to d6 by Richard now. Magnus just pushes h3 here, not allowing the bishop to come in here and win this knight. Knight to e7 by Richard now. Magnus pushes his pawn and attacks the center. Pawn push to c6 now, supporting the pawn in the center. Magnus now brings his knight out to c3. Richard castles on the side now. Bishop to d3 by Magnus, developing the light square bishop, putting it in a very nice diagonal, light square diagonal. So pawn is captured. Now the bishop is put in a better position. Knight move by and Magnus castles and knight comes. Now basically this position is still equal after the opening. This bishop is attacked and it retrieves to b3 here. The position is earlier achieved by Carlsen against Jabbawa, and knight to d5 is now played by Richard now, bringing the knight to the center. Magnus attacks the Richard's queen, pawn push f to f6, and bishop retrieves, and now we have a new game on the board. The bishop move covers this light square bishop's influence, and rook now comes attack the bishop. Bishop retrieves here now. So knight move by Magnus, and rook comes in here to e8. Magnus is trying to assess the position, how we need to proceed with the game, and he pushes a4 now, and a5 is pushed, which actually is kind of a mistake because this knight captures the bishop, queen captures back, and after that this rook is captured. So Richard is now thinking whether to capture with the rook or with the bishop. He captures with the bishop, and queen comes here. Bishop now comes to h5, and Magnus is better in this position here. So knight now moves here, and rook attacks the queen. Queen goes to c1 now. Richard's move now. He brings his rook back now. Interestingly, he's just put it that pawn here, which cannot be defended that easily. Knight now comes in here, attacks the queen. Queen goes to f, attacking to d7, attacking the knight now. That is an unprotected knight. And now Magnus brings his queen here. So idea is that if black captures the knight here, Magnus can just capture this knight. This knight protection is not here because of the pin on the this is pin basically. You cannot move this knight. So great tactical move by Magnus, developing his queen and gaining the initiative in the game now. Getting those pieces off the board will be the best way forward, I think. Oh, he now moves the king away. Now, basically, Magnus is better now. The best way was to go for the exchange of the knights there. Magnus brings his knight back to g3 here, attacking the light square bishop. So let's see which square the bishop retrieves to. f7 would be a great square for the bishop, but it will have only the position of the queen. If the queen got to move, that bishop will be undefended. So bishop goes to s7, the best square still, and this pawn is now grabbed by Magnus with the support of the queen and attacking the knight, and the knight retrieves to c8. Magnus bought his rook here, but he could even bring his queen here to f8, create a check, forcing the bishop to protect the king. But the rook move was played by Magnus. So knight jumps in here and covers that path for that queen, and also activating the rook, brings his bishop and attacks the knight. So most possibly that dark square bishop will be captured by the knight, and yes, it gets captured, and queen captures back here, and after that the bishops also get exchanged now, and pawn is now pushed here, and Magnus brings his queen now to e6. Queen goes here, but the best was to go for the exchange. Magnus goes for the pawn exchange, and pawns are exchanged now. Now you have this nice little pawn marching down the board. It's trouble for Richard now, and Magnus is simply better now. He brings his knight here. Rook c1 was possible, but attacking the knight. So knight captures the knight, and Magnus captures with his rook here, protecting the pawn, and pawn push to h6 now, creating any background checkmate problems for black here. Magnus pushes his pawn and creates space for the king. After the check, king goes to g2 now, and the rook comes in here. That's Magnus goes here basically, and now this king move is forced. I will explain it in the end why the king move was forced. Now they're blitzing out all the moves now, so the rooks are off the board now. King gets away. Push. Queen gets behind the pawn. King comes here and start pushing the pawn. He's better now already. King, this pawn is just going up, and this is bad for black now already, because Magnus can just bring his king up the board, queen up the board like this with the check. Yeah, again check. Yeah, again check. Pawn push, allowing he could even push his pawn here on d7. After the check, king gets away to safety. Magnus is just pushing his pawn. It's game over for black probably. After the check now, Magnus protects the queening square. Now there are both queens on the board. Magnus queens. After the check, king gets to safety, and Richard resigns the king basically. So great game basically. So let's see the combinations that we missed during the game. So in this position, Magnus brings his queen here, and now this pawn could be grabbed, right? Because it's like twice here. But here at the same time, Magnus attacking this pawn, and he's also trying to bring his uh, rook here, and this queen will be gone. So even if you cannot capture the queen as well, so that's why this king move was formed. If you didn't do that, and if the rook captures the pawn like this, the queen will be gone. And after the check, this pawn will also be gone. So because of that, he cannot uh, immediately capture this pawn, and this king move was basically forced. So once the king comes in here, queen comes to c2 here, and this is discovered check probability. It's also attacking the rook here. So instead, Richard brings his queen here and wins this rook, so he cannot move this rook now, and it's already threatening pushing this pawn here. So you need to cover this basically queen now. So this pawn push to f3 was played here, protecting the rook and unpinning this rook here at the same time. And after f5 here, basically this capture was played by Magnus, but he could even just go for this rook here, and even after this, after the queen moves, basically you could go for the check or grab the rook. So these rooks get exchanged off like this, and now he brings his queen here, allowing him to capture this pawn here because the king's presence here creates trouble for Richard. So once the king moves in here, this pawn is gone, and you're in an endgame with 2 pawns up, and therefore winning the match. So I will also show you uh, why the match entered, why he resigned, how the checkmate would have happened in the best possible scenario. So g5 check after the capture, queen will place the check here, and the queen will be off the board, and one more queen will be on the board, and the following move will result in a checkmate. That's why Richard Rapport resigned, and Magnus Carlsen won the match. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with more such videos.